I good? Okay. Well, hello there, everyone. So, my name is Jason Halkias. I've been a member of the QCMUG users group for about 6 years right now. And so I'm privileged to be sitting here to be talking to you about the latest iPhones and the latest version of iOS. And to start off, so there are 3 new iPhones, just as there's been for the last couple of years as well. So the 3 iPhones are as follows. So the one I'm using today is an iPhone 11. I have the 64 gig product red iPhone 11. So it's a successor to the iPhone XR because, like the XR, it had a 6.1 inch LCD screen. And the next 2 are successors to the XS and the XS Max. They're the first iPhones to be given the Pro designation, kind of like the MacBook and the iPad also have Pro models. So the iPhone 11 Pro succeeds the XS with a 5.8 inch OLED screen, and the 11 Pro Max succeeds the XS Max with a 6.5 inch OLED screen. So we'll talk a little bit about these phones. They've received some upgrades to their cameras. So first, all the iPhones gain an additional camera in the rear. So the iPhone 11 goes from 1 camera to 2 cameras, and the Pro and the Pro Max go from 2 to 3 cameras. And in addition, on the front-facing FaceTime HD camera, all iPhones now have added 4K video recording support onto their front camera. Previously, the best you could do was 1080p on the front camera. And as far as the rear cameras go, to accommodate those additional lens, as well as moving around the flashlight and the microphone, they now have a square bump. So it used to be shaped in an oval, but now it's shaped more like a rounded square. So new cases for the newest iPhones will look a little different than the cases for the XR and the XS. And there's a few other changes as well. So all iPhones now support fast charging from an 18-watt charger, although only the 11 does not come bundled with such, just comes with that standard 5-watt charger. So the Pro and the Pro Max come with an 18-watt charger bundled in. And also for the first time, all the iPhones are now IP68 certified as far as water resistance and dust resistance go. So IP68 means that they're resistant to dust and they can withstand being underwater for about 1.5 meters in about 30 minutes. Before, only the XS and the XS Max were such. The XR was still IP67, which means 1 meter of water in 30 minutes. And there are some new colors. So like the XR, the iPhone 11 comes in 6 colors. Like the XR, they come in black and white and yellow and product red. The XR came in blue and coral, but those have been replaced with green, which is more closer to a mint green, and purple, which is more like a violet type purple. And the 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max, they come in gold just like their predecessors. Black and white have been replaced with silver and space gray. However, there's a new color, midnight green, so more of a darker green type color. And there's some new specs that are supported in these devices. So the iPhone 11 devices are the first of any category, just like including computers, to support the latest version of Wi-Fi. Just to be simplistic, they're calling it Wi-Fi 6. If you're technological like I am, you would know that the 6th generation is actually 802.11ax, which succeeds 802.11ac. But to be more simplistic, they're calling it Wi-Fi 6. And the iPhone 11s are the first iPhones of any kind to support the Dolby Atmos surround sound audio as well. And of course, these iPhones are powered by the latest version of iOS 13. And I found some interesting features in iOS 13 that either are new features or their features tweaked a little from previous versions. And I took some screen recordings as well to demonstrate them. The first one I wanted to talk about is burst mode. So usually when people think about burst mode, they think about holding down the camera shutter and then they take as many photos as they want. iOS 13, it's a little bit different. So you tap the white circle like you always do, but you don't hold it down. Otherwise, you'll be taking a long live photo. So instead, to achieve burst mode, what you do is you hold it down, and then almost immediately thereafter, you swipe left and then hold it down as long as you'd like. So this is how it's done. So that's a little bit different way of doing burst mode in iOS 13. And there's another trick that I realized. This one I never found on the internet anywhere or in any videos. I just discovered this one on my own. So in the Messages app, you can always select multiple chats. It used to be that you had to select them all manually. Well, there's a newer, simpler version to do that. So I'll just describe the steps before I play the live recording here. So there's that blue circle in the top right corner. First you have to tap that, and then it brings up a couple of options, one of which is Manage Messages List. So you choose that, and then what I do is I scroll to the bottom and then select one of those blank circles to choose the message. But then almost immediately thereafter, I must swipe up over the other blank circles. So it's like you're choosing so many at a single time rather than ... And the way that can show you how I swiped up is because the messages also swiped up. If I was choosing them manually, then I would have to swipe manually before choosing the others. And you might remember in the Music app, like when iOS 10 came out with the, actually no, it wasn't iOS 10, it was iOS 11. When the iPhone 10 came out, you couldn't view embedded lyrics in your MP3 files anymore in the Music app. Instead, you were relegated to viewing lyrics in Apple Music if you were subscribed to that. Well, with iOS 13, viewing lyrics in the Music app has been restored. But the way to view it is a little bit differently. It used to be that you had to tap on the album art, or lack of album art, if you will, to view the lyrics, assuming they were embedded in the files that you synced. So for those to show, as such, the MP3 files synced from iTunes, or if you're on Catalina Music, they have to have lyrics embedded. So first I open the Music app, play a supported song, and then there's a bubble at the bottom left that has quotation marks. Tap that, and then it'll show lyrics. So here goes this recording. And by the way, while this doesn't show in the presentation, a similar note that I wanted to mention is in the Apple Music app. As I said, you can still view lyrics there, but the way the lyrics show there is a little bit different. And if you people know me, you know that I love karaoke. Well, an interesting thing that I learned is that in Apple Music, the lyrics will show in a karaoke-like setting. So like the lyrics will show in real time. They don't show in real time in the Music app, but in Apple Music they do in a karaoke-like method. And probably one of the most sought-after features for the longest time is dark mode. It's been now in macOS for several years, but it's new to iOS in iOS 13. There's a few different ways that you can actually enable dark mode, including a toggle in the control center. And so now what you see at the beginning of the live recording is these folders that I have here. They're light in the background. But when I enable dark mode, notice the difference. So there's the control center. I've enabled dark mode there. And now those folders are darker in the background. That's just an example of dark mode. Now, if you saw my previous slide with the Messages app, you notice that Messages was dark in the background. That's because it was already enabled in dark mode. So that's the stock apps can take advantage of dark mode if you wish. And there's another new feature. It's actually a tweak. So like it used to be when you changed your volume settings up or down, or even enabled or disabled silent mode, you got this square on the screen that covered up some of the lock screen. Well, that is no more. So now what happens is, depending on which mode you're in, whether in landscape or portrait, in this case, no, actually I'm in portrait orientation right now, but so you have a white line, a simple white line will show up. So either you can hold it down and the volume goes up or down quicker, or you can push the button and it goes up or down slower. So a simple white line appears on the side of the lock screen depending on which way you're using the screen or which app you're using. So it goes like this. At the left there, I'm holding the button initially. Now I'm just pushing to do it a little slower. So yeah, less obtrusion from the volume indicator as a result of that tweak. Now, this is actually not a screen recording. For this one, I had to involve my roommate to take a recording on her phone, and then she sent it to me, and then I saved it, and then I uploaded it to this keynote here. It's about Siri. So everyone knows about, I'm actually going to whisper this so my phone doesn't get invoked, about "Hey Siri." So usually when you say that, you would hear 2 dings initially. Well, with iOS 13, it's a little bit different. Siri will speak in some form as if she has your attention. Although when you do say something, it would then give the 2 dings thereafter.
We may or may not be able to hear that.
I duly believe it can be heard, because I tested the keynote here. Let's see. Hey Siri. Mm-hmm. In that case, it went mm-hmm. Actually, my phone did get invoked there, but that's no big deal. It was invoked by the live recording there. So the point is, it goes mm-hmm rather than ding. So it's more personal, if you ask me, like a more personal response. And then I have one more live recording here before I take any questions, and maybe I can demonstrate a few things. So another interesting feature that I didn't know about iOS is, you can connect to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth via the control center like you always are familiar with, but there's a little twist. So you can actually choose which Wi-Fi networks or which Bluetooth devices you want to connect to via the control center as well. So for each one of these, all you got to do is hold down the option, kind of like you might do a press on the Apple Watch. So you hold down the appropriate toggle and it'll bring up some options. Then you hold down that same toggle in the next option to bring up a list of options. In the case of Wi-Fi network options, or in the case of Bluetooth device options. So this is how that works. So I picked Wi-Fi. So then I picked Wi-Fi again, and it'll give me all those hotspots. Now I'm going to do it with Bluetooth. Choose Bluetooth, and then choose Bluetooth again. In this case, I don't have any devices available, but you get the idea. So you don't always have to go into the Settings app anymore necessarily to connect to Wi-Fi or connect to Bluetooth. Pretty nifty feature there. Speaking of Bluetooth, there's also iOS 13 also gains the ability to connect a mouse to your iPhone or your iPad. I won't go into that, but what I will say is that involves digging into some accessibility related settings. So, that's an interesting feature as well. So, anyway, are there any questions from anybody?
So where'd you get your phone?
I got my phone through Sprint. I have a product red iPhone 11, 64 gigs. I upgraded from a product red 10R. Where'd you get yours?
Well, I'm gonna get one, that's what, I've still got
Okay.
excess mass.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wanna go to the 11 Pro, and I don't know where I can find one, or I can trade this phone in.
Okay.
Without going to the Apple Store.
Right, like I said, yeah, I've upgraded mine through Sprint ever since I got a 6 Plus. Then I went to the 7 Plus, to the 10, to the 10R, and now to the 11. Any other questions?
Doesn't seem like the Apple Store can tell you if they have inventory or not. If you call, you don't get the store.
Have you tried online? Because you can do trade in online too.
Yeah, I wanna get it in a week, so I'll take it to you.
Oh, that's probably not going to happen. They're out till at least November. So,
The wind had them last week, but I couldn't go up and get it.
oh no.
Hmm.
And Brian,
Sure thing. Any?
Newsom, not, he's not selling phones, right?
Who's that?
Brian, he's across the river.
I think he's just service provider as far as I know.
Oh.
I don't think he sells.
Okay.
You'd have to check. They have the words best and buy in their name.
Yeah, they won't give me $600 for my phone, though.
Oh, really?
Apple will.
Yeah.
Have you checked the reconditioned ones too, or do you want
Well,
to do that?
they're so new, I don't think they have any condition yet.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be any refurbs yet. Otherwise, if the phone is unlocked, you could probably sell it outright yourself too, pretty easily on Facebook Marketplace or something. So, yeah, that's a possibility. At least you get like cold hard cash
Have you checked
potentially.
the
But
current, see what they give you?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. You know where they are, I'm getting for ready, right?
No, no.
And they're now called Xperia Max.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Oh, I forget.
It used to be Xperia Mac.
My stepdaughter, they're the whipping machines.
So what's your question?
have you noticed to prove the Chicken Little's wrong in the room? Hint, hint, Mr. Patridge. Have you run into any problems or issues or nasty bugs or anything?
With my usage, I have not run it. Well, maybe a few issues. Like here's an example. The only issue so far, thus, that I've run into is every now and then in the App Store, I will, even if I have an app downloaded or if I've already downloaded before, I don't get the icon that says you can re-download it. Instead, I get the Get button. Now that gives me a signal that I'll have to reboot my phone, and then the whole issue is reversed. As of now, that's the only issue I've ever dealt with.
But as long as you can still download the app. Then
I
you
can
don't
still
have to
download the app,
reboot.
yes.
Okay, I gotcha.
Any other questions from anybody?
Bueller.
Have you already updated the 32-bit stuff, so you didn't have any that can contend?
Yeah, I didn't have
Convention.
many. I didn't have many 32-bit related stuff anyway. So yeah, everything's been taken care of as far as my daily normal usages goes. As far as my usage goes. Any other questions?
So what version, you said you were using an XR before?
I was using a 10R before.
10R.
Yeah, now I'm on the 11.
So comparing the two, do you see much difference? Was it worth upgrading?
In my mind, it was worth upgrading. Yeah, with the additional camera as well as, the fact that in my mind, more people would be drawn to the 10R. I mean, the 11. What am I talking about? More people will be drawn to the 11 more so than the others, but that doesn't mean the others would be drawn to. And I'd often been reading reports about people were predicting that this was going to be a boring upgrade cycle. Well, I didn't think that was going to be the case. Surely enough, it has proven to be anything but boring as far as how many iPhones have been selling.
Now the rumor is there's SEs coming out.
A new SE, as they're talking about next year. That'll be more looking like the iPhone 8, I believe. Sure thing. What's the question?
I think it depends on what phone you're coming from. Like, for example, I upgraded my better half at home. She got a yellow 11, and she had a 6S before that. The battery was starting to go, and so she's noticed even keeping the bad battery in mind, that the 11's just had phenomenal battery life for her so far. And just the speed and what she can do with it, she's been really impressed. So like I said, she was coming from just a 6S before. So she's had some adjusting, getting used to the bigger screen and stuff, but she really seems to like it. So depending on how far back you're going, the upgrade is a lot more significant. So I guess to me and maybe some other people, it didn't seem that big between the 10R or the 10 itself, because I have a 10 myself, and they're nice phones. I don't feel the need to jump to it, but if I did, I'd probably have to get the 11 Pro because it's got the better camera. But I think both phones are pretty solid upgrades, even with the as Jason mentioned, the dual camera upgrade's really nice. Yep.
Jason, have you tried to set your phone up as a hotspot?
Well, I was able to do it with the 10R, and yes, I have been able to do it with my 11. Yes, mobile hotspot through Sprint.
Do you think it's easier with the new version OS, or?
Well, it's no easier and no harder. It's
Okay.
In my mind, it's about the same.
Okay, all right. All right. Okay,
In my mind, it's about the same because I'm familiar with how to do it.
okay.
Any other questions?
Okay. Well, thank you, Jason, for the nice presentation on the new phones.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I guess we can go ahead and take some questions. If there's any more questions before we wrap it up, as far as. Okay.
I'll go ahead and just kill the live stream because unfortunately I do need to start tearing down. So I just wanted to thank Jason for his wonderful presentation and everyone watching tonight.
Mm-hmm.